Chosen one, before you mourn what God just took, let me tell you why he took it. Everything cancelled. The plan, the door, the timeline you were certain of, all of it closed in the same season, and you have been standing in the wreckage asking what you did to deserve it. The answer is nothing. This was never punishment. The Father does not empty the hands of the ones he has chosen unless he intends to fill them with something they could not hold while they were still gripping the old thing. You were brought to this message in an hour no accident could arrange, led here, deliberately. At the precise moment, the loss had finally made you ready to listen. So listen. Behind every ending you have been grieving sits a single decision the Father made about your life, made before you ever felt the first door close. He decided. And once he decided, everything that decision could not live beside had to go. What you called collapse, heaven called clearing. Stay with me, chosen one. Because in the next few minutes I am going to show you exactly what he decided, and you will never read your loss the same way again. Before I go on, one honest word. Everything I share here is free. But if at some point along the way your spirit tells you there is more you are meant to receive, I have placed something in the description and the pinned comment below. Don't reach for it out of fear, only if you feel led. And before we go deeper, let me tell you why it matters that you stay with me all the way to the end. By the time this message closes, you are going to understand why so much of your life seemed to fall apart at the very same time, and why that timing was not cruelty, but care. You will learn how to tell the difference between a door God closes to protect you, a door he closes to turn you, and a door he closes simply because its work in you is finished. You will hear the actual decision the Father made over your life before any of this ever began, and near the end, I will show you a way to restore something the modern world quietly took from you years ago. So stay. None of this lands the same way if you leave halfway through. Let me start where you actually are, chosen one, not where you wish you were. Right here, in the middle of a season that took more from you than it ever warned you it would, because something happened to you recently. Maybe it happened slowly, one piece at a time. Or maybe it all came down in a single week you will never forget. A plan you had built your whole hope around simply stopped. A door you had knocked on for years closed, and this time, it did not open again. A relationship you thought would always be there grew quiet, then distant, then gone. An opportunity that was almost in your hands dissolved right before you could close your fingers around it. And the strangest part, the part that has been keeping you up at night, is that it all seemed to happen at once, not spread out. Not one hard thing in a hard year. Everything in the same breath. You have been trying to make sense of it. You have replayed your choices, looking for the mistake. You have asked, quietly, where you went wrong, what you missed, what you were being punished for. I want you to hear me carefully, because no one may have stopped to say this to you. You did nothing to deserve this. This is not a punishment. The collapse you are standing in was not sent to break you. Now here is the thing most people never learn to notice. When life falls apart slowly, one small piece here, another there, that is often just life. But when it falls apart all at once, when 3 or 4 things close in the very same season, that is rarely an accident. That is a pattern. And a pattern always has an author. Think about what you have actually been feeling underneath the grief. There has been a strange sense that you are being moved, even though you never chose to move. A sense that the life you were living no longer fits you, like a coat that suddenly feels too small. You keep reaching back for the way things used to be, and your hands keep closing on empty air. You have felt unsettled in places that used to feel certain, and quietly, in moments you have not told anyone about. A part of you has wondered if maybe none of it was ever meant to last this long. That wondering is not weakness, chosen one. That is your spirit catching something your mind has not caught up to yet. Because here is what I need you to begin to consider. What if the closing of all those doors was not the end of your story being written, but the editor crossing out a chapter that was leading nowhere? What if the emptiness in your hands is not loss at all, but space being made on purpose by someone who could see the whole road when you could only see the next step in front of you. I am not asking you to feel happy about what you lost. You are allowed to grieve it. Grief is honest, and the Father never asks you to pretend. But I am asking you to hold one new possibility open, just for the length of this message. The possibility that what looks like the worst season of your life is actually the most important turn it has ever taken, because the cancellation was telling you something, and it is not what you have been afraid it meant. Stay with me, and I will show you the difference. So let me show you that difference, because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. There are roads the Father will not let his chosen ones walk, not because those roads are forbidden, but because he can see the dead end that you cannot see from where you are standing. From the inside, a closed road feels like rejection. It feels like a no aimed straight at your worth. But from above, where he sees it, it is something else entirely. It is protection wearing the face of loss. Picture a piece of ground where a great house is going to be built. Before anything new can rise, the old structure standing on that land has to come down. The walls have to be cleared away. And if you were standing in that field watching the old thing fall, with no blueprint in your hand, you would swear you were watching destruction. You would mourn it. But the builder is not destroying anything. The builder is preparing. What looks like ruin from the ground is the first day of construction from the sky. That is what this season has been. Chosen one, not destruction, clearing. Consider a man who once had everything arranged. His path was set, his name was respected, his future was certain, and he was completely sure he was right about all of it. And then, in a single moment, on a single road, the Father interrupted the whole thing. Everything he had built his identity on was cancelled in an instant. The respect, the plan, the certainty, gone. If you had met him, in the hours after, you would have seen a man who looked like he had lost his entire life. And he had. But the life that was taken was the smaller one, because the Father had already decided to do something through that man so much larger than the path he was defending, that the old path simply could not remain. The cancellation was not the end of his story. It was the first line of the real one. Or think of a young man whose every door slammed shut, one after another, for years, betrayed by his own family, sold off, forgotten in a prison for something he did not even do. Each closed door looked like the final one. And yet, looking back now, you can see it so clearly. Every single closing was quietly moving him one step closer to the exact room where his purpose was waiting for him. He could not see it while he was inside it. Almost no one ever can. So how do you tell, while you are still in the middle of it, what kind of closing you are living through? Let me give you something simple to carry with you. When a door closes in your life, there are really only 3 reasons behind it. The first is protection. That door was closing to keep you from a harm you could not yet see. The second is redirection. That door was closing to turn your feet toward a road you would never have chosen on your own. And the third is completion. That door was closing because whatever it was meant to teach you, it has already finished teaching. Protection, redirection, completion. Sit for a while with the doors that closed on you and ask which of those 3 each one truly was. You will be surprised how often the honest answer brings peace instead of pain. And let me tell you one thing about the one who has been doing all this clearing in your life. He does not work in single, scattered acts. The Father builds in sequences. What you have walked through is not one isolated event. It is one phase of a much larger restoration that has already been mapped out over you, step following step, each one preparing the ground for the next. Today you are only seeing the first piece of it. There is more coming, in an order you have not been shown yet. But there is something else that was cancelled in you, chosen one, not by God, by the world. And it happened so long ago, and so quietly, that you may have forgotten it was ever taken from you. Let me tell you about it. When you were a child, before the world got its hands on you, your mind worked in a way that felt almost magical. You learned quickly. You felt things deeply. You had flashes of knowing that you could not explain. And then, somewhere around the age of 7, that began to fade, slowly, quietly. The modern world, with all its noise and its endless demands, started switching it off in you, 1 year at a time. Scientists have a name for this, and a man named Dr. Robert Lake spent decades mapping out exactly how it happens and how it can be turned back on. What he built to turn it back on is called the Genius Song. It is a short, 7-minute sound made to gently wake the very part of your mind the world quieted all those years ago. I will walk you through the whole of it later, when the moment is right. If your spirit is already leaning toward it, the door is waiting in the description and the pinned comment below. There is no rush at all. Stay with me, because what comes next is the heart of everything. For now, just hold this one thought. What was dimmed in you can be restored. Because all of this, every closed door, every cleared field, every quiet thing the world took from you, all of it has been leading to one single place. There is a decision the Father made about your life. He made it before you felt the first loss. He made it before the season ever turned. And once he made it, everything that could not live beside that decision had to go. That is the real reason everything was cancelled. Not because of anything you did wrong, because of what he decided to do for you. In just a moment, I am going to read you that decision. And I promise you, chosen one, it is bigger than anything you were grieving. Welcome back, chosen one. Stay close to me now, because this is the part everything else was built to carry you to. I told you that behind every ending you have been grieving sits a single decision. So let me tell you what that decision was. The Father looked at your life, at the whole length of it, the part behind you and the part still ahead of you, and he decided that you were never made for the small version of it you had quietly settled into. He decided that the ceiling you had been living under was never meant to be your ceiling. He decided to lift you out of a place that had grown far too tight for who you actually are, and to set you down somewhere your old plans could never have reached. And here is what you have to understand about a decision like that. Once the Father decides to give you something larger, the smaller thing you were holding cannot come with you. Not because the smaller thing was evil, but because your hands were full. You cannot receive the greater while you are still gripping the lesser. So he did the only loving thing there was to do. He loosened your grip, one finger at a time. Through every door that closed, he was gently opening your hands so that they would finally be empty enough to be filled. And here is what I hear the Father saying to you, right now, in this very moment. I did not take the lesser thing from your hands because I was finished with you. I took it because I had already decided to give you what your hands were not yet free to hold. What you lost was never your portion. It was the wall standing in front of your portion, and I have decided to tear down the wall. Let that settle into you, chosen one. Now I have to be honest with you, the way the Father is always honest, because false promises are not love. I cannot tell you the exact day this turns. I cannot hand you a calendar. What I can tell you is the direction. The decision has already been made, and a decision made in heaven does not get unmade by a slow season here on earth. You are not waiting to find out whether good is coming. You are simply walking the distance between the decision and the day it becomes visible. Remember the man on the road, the one whose whole life was cancelled in a single moment. After everything had been stripped from him, what he walked into was not some slightly better version of his old life. It was a calling so large that people are still being shaped by it today, thousands of years later. That is the pattern of a divine cancellation. The Father does not clear a field just to build the same house again. He clears it to build something the old house could never have become. So whatever you were grieving, hold it up against that. The plan you lost was real, and your sadness over it was valid. But it was a smaller thing than what he decided to give you. It always was. But there is something standing between you and all of this, and it is not out there in your circumstances. It is in here, in the way you have been reading what happened to you. Because somewhere in this season, a quiet thought took root in you. The thought went something like this: if he really chose me, he would not have let it all fall apart. If I were truly one of his, the door would have stayed open. And so, every closing slowly started to feel like evidence against you. Evidence that you were not chosen after all. Evidence that you had been forgotten. I understand why that thought formed. It is the most natural thing in the world. When something is taken from us, the mind goes looking for a reason, and the cruelest reason is always the easiest one to believe, that somehow we were just not worth keeping it for. But I need you to see that thought clearly for what it really is, because it is a lie wearing the clothes of humility. The truth is the exact opposite of it. The Father does not dismantle a life he has forgotten. He dismantles a life he is about to rebuild. The very fact that he moved so deliberately, that he cleared so much, all in the same season, is not proof that he left you. It is proof of how closely he was paying attention. You do not get this kind of attention from a God who walked away. You only get it from a God who refused to. So let us put that lie down, not by arguing with it, but by replacing it. I want you to do something with me, right where you are. You do not need to move at all. Just picture, in your mind, the closed doors of this season lined up in front of you, the way they have been living in your memory, and now see the word that you have been writing across them. The word rejected. See it there, faded into the wood. And slowly, gently, watch a hand reach up and cross that word out, and write a different word in its place. The word chosen. Chosen. Every door you thought was telling you that you were rejected was actually telling you that you were chosen all along. Sit in that for one quiet breath. And if it would help to make it real, leave one word for me in the comments below. Just the word redirected, not rejected. Redirected. Let your own hand write down the truth your spirit already knows. Let me gather all of this into something simple before we go on, so you can carry it out of here and keep holding on to it. 3 things. First, when your life came apart all at once, that was not random, and it was not punishment. It was clearing, the same way a field is cleared before something greater is built on it. Second, the Father had already decided, before you ever felt the loss, to give you something larger than the plan you lost, and your empty hands were simply being made ready to hold it. And third, when a door closes, it closes for one of 3 reasons: to protect you, to turn you, or because its work in you is done. Not one of those 3 means you were forgotten. Hold those 3 truths together, and this whole season begins to make a completely different kind of sense. Now, I told you earlier that there was something the world cancelled in you long before God ever cleared your season, and I promised that I would come back to it when the moment was right. This is that moment. Remember the way your mind worked when you were small, before the world dimmed it? That sharpness, that deep feeling, those sudden flashes of knowing. All of that runs on a specific rhythm inside the brain. Dr. Robert Lake, who spent 34 years studying this, along with researchers at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Princeton, and other leading universities, found that this rhythm is strongest in children, and that modern life slowly switches it down, year after year, starting around the age of 7. They gave that slow shutting down a name. They call it the decline effect. And the heaviness so many people carry as adults, that sense of living at half power, is in large part the sound of that rhythm gone quiet. But here is what makes this personal for you, chosen one. The ones like you. The ones who always felt a little different, who felt more, sensed more, knew more. As children, you were not imagining it. You started out with that rhythm running higher than most. Which means, when the world dimmed it in you, you lost more than the average person ever did. That gap you have always felt, between the person you somehow know you are meant to be and the person you have actually been living as, that gap is not a flaw in your character. It is the distance between your mind lit up and your mind dimmed. And it can be closed. Let me tell you about a man this happened to. He was in his early 50s, and he had been out of work for nearly 2 years after his company let him go. He was not unskilled. He had been sharp, once, but somewhere in those long, hard months, a kind of fog had settled over his thinking. He would sit in interviews and feel the right words just out of his reach, his mind moving like it was wading through deep water. He started using this 7-minute sound, mostly because he had simply run out of other things to try. 11 days in, he walked into an interview and the fog was just gone. The words came. He got the offer, a better position than the one he had lost. He said the change was not on his resume. The change was inside his own head. Now, I know what rises up when you hear something like that. It sounds too simple, and you have tried things before that promised much and gave you little. I understand that completely. So let me just tell you plainly what this is, and let your own spirit be the one to decide. It is called the Genius Song. More than 18,000 people have now used it, 18,366 of them, to be exact, and fewer than 4 in every 100 have ever asked for their money back, which quietly tells you that most of them kept it and kept using it. And here is the part that surprised me. To get help with this the usual way costs a small fortune. A weekend retreat to quiet your mind can run you $400 to $800. A single session with a specialist, around $150. Even the simple calming apps charge you every single month, on and on, with no end in sight. And not one of them is aimed at the exact rhythm we have been talking about this whole time. Dr. Lake took 34 years of his life's work and pressed it down into one 7-minute sound. The fair price for that would have been $49. But because his goal was never to get rich, it was to put this back into the hands of the people who actually need it. He made it $39 for those who hear about it this way. And it comes with more than just the sound. Alongside it, you receive 4 gifts. A gentler version made for children. A rare book that real financial wisdom was built upon. A guided journey through the 4 corners of your life. And a simple habit guide. Around $80 of value. All given to you freely with it. And you carry no risk at all in this. You have 90 full days to listen as many times as you want. If nothing shifts in you, you write 1 email, and every dollar comes back to you. And here is the part that tells you who is really behind this. You keep all 4 gifts anyway, as their way of saying thank you for your time. The only thing you cannot do is find the real one anywhere else. There are copies out there, ordinary sounds wearing this name, with none of the real work inside them. The one true place it lives, with all of it, the gifts, the guarantee, the real technology, is the link waiting in the description and the pinned comment below. Not on any store, not anywhere else. So, let me ask you to do one small thing. Not to decide whether you can afford it. Take one slow breath with me, and ask yourself a completely different question instead. Do I believe what he decided about me? That is the real decision here, chosen one, not the $39. If your spirit says yes, then you already know what to do, and the door is right there below you, within reach. And if this is simply not your moment, that is all right too. Either way, stay with me, because we are almost at the most important part of all. Now hear who you are, chosen one. On the other side of everything that closed, you are protected. The doors that shut on you were not walls built to trap you. They were shields raised to guard you, turning you away from roads that would have cost you far more than this season ever did. Every no was a form of keeping. You are redirected. You were not abandoned at a dead end. You were turned, firmly and on purpose, toward a path your own planning would never have found. The same hand that closed the old way is the hand now pointing down the new one. You are decided over. Before you ever wept, a decision was already made about your life, and it was made entirely in your favor. You are not waiting to be chosen. You were chosen first. And everything since has just been the slow working out of that one choice. And you are not forgotten. A God who forgets does not clear a field this carefully. The very weight of this season is the measure of how closely he has been watching over you. You were never once out of his sight. Not for a single moment. This is not who you are hoping to become someday. This is who you already are, right now, in the middle of the unfinished story. You do not have to earn these words. You only have to receive them. So let us close this the way it deserves to be closed. I want you to take a moment, before you go back to your day, and look at how far you have actually come. You survived the season that was supposed to end you. You stood in the wreckage, and you kept on breathing, even when you could not see a single reason to. That is not weakness, chosen one. That is the quiet, stubborn strength of someone the Father has his hand on. Honor that in yourself for a moment. And now let us speak over your life what is already true. The old season is finished, not failing, finished. The clearing is complete, and the building has begun. What was cancelled is gone for good, and what was decided is on its way, as certain as the morning. And here is the last thing I hear the Father saying over you, so receive it gently. I closed the door behind you so that you could never go back to less than I made you for. I am not asking you to understand the whole road. I am only asking you to take the next step and to trust that the one who cleared the ground knows exactly what he is building. I have decided, and what I decide, I always finish. So breathe, chosen one. You can lay the grief down now. You do not have to keep carrying the lost plan anymore, because it was only ever the wall standing in front of your portion. Let it stay where it fell. Turn your face forward. The God who cancelled everything is the very same God who already wrote what comes next, and what comes next is good. Walk into it gently. You are not behind. You are right on time. And before you go, do these few small things, because they matter more than they seem. If something in this message reached the place it was meant to reach, leave that one word in the comments below, redirected, so your own spirit can see it written down. If this gave you even a little peace tonight, let that be known in the simple way that you can, so it can find the next chosen one who is standing in their own wreckage right now. And if you want to keep walking through this next season with messages like this one beside you, stay close, because there is more coming, in its order, just like I told you there would be. The door I mentioned, for the thing the world dimmed in you, is still waiting below whenever your moment finally comes. And whatever you do from here, remember what you learned tonight. What looks like the end of your story is very often just the Father turning the page.